Republican candidate Jon Ossoff. Let me ask you, Mr. Ossoff, thank you for joining us tonight. What do you think about the latest Trump moves? Do you think Trump was right to bomb Syria?
Well, I think if U.S. intelligence confirmed that the Syrian military struck civilians with chemical weapons in a swift, punitive, limited strike was a reasonable response, but any further action should require congressional approval, and we can't get drawn in on the ground there.
Okay, what do you make of what's going on in South Korea? Are you a little nervous like I am? Other people are about we may be pushing Kim Jong-un a little too hard right now, and he might do something ballistic?
Well, we need to make sure we have the defensive systems in place to defeat the missile threat from North Korea, but I don't believe that the administration or any administration has the authority to preemptively strike North Korea and enter the United States into a regional war without congressional approval.
How do we defend South Korea against an artillery strike with conventional weapons?
Well, an artillery strike on Seoul
system. How do we do that?
An artillery strike on Seoul would be very, very difficult to defend against and would be probably inevitable in the event of the outbreak of major hostilities. That's one of the reasons that it's such a flashpoint. But we can defeat the missile threat from North Korea with a range of defensive systems that we have from our Navy and some of our land-based systems.
What do you make of Trump?
Well, it was one of the most divisive and destructive presidential races in U.S. history, and I think that many have been hoping that the president will heal some of those wounds, show good faith, and a more inclusive approach to governance. So far, I don't think that he's allayed those concerns among those who believe that that divisive approach to governance is not right for the United States.
What do you make of him personally? Do you think, is he a mixed bag, or do you think he's bad? Give me a word for him.
Well, I have great respect for the office. I don't have great personal admiration for the man himself.
What do you make of him?
I don't know the man. I don't know the man. But what I hope is that he'll show good faith and sound judgment. I'd be interested, for example, in working with him on an infrastructure bill that could deliver real solutions to Georgia so we can keep growing our local economy here. I think there's room to work across the aisle, and I'll work with anyone who has the best interests of this community at heart. I'll stand up to anyone who does not, regardless of their party.
What should we do about immigration, illegal immigration?
Well, the only real solution, and I think most people recognize this, is comprehensive reform that secures the border and that provides a path to legal status for non-felons who lack documentation. There's no way that a mass deportation program of 11 million people can be carried out.
What do we do to stop the magnet of illegal jobs, which is the reason people come here? How do you stop people from hiring people illegally? How do you do that? Because that is the reason people come here, to get a job. And businesses exploit cheap labor. They get here, the person just gets here 2 days ago, is the most desperate, works the hardest for the lowest money. How do you stop that pattern of exploitation?
Well, the best way to stop it is to secure the border and provide a path to legal status so folks can come out of the shadows.
No, what do we do about enforcing those people? No, this is the failure to be comprehensive. What do you do to enforce our immigration laws?
Well, there should be stricter penalties for those who knowingly employ those who don't have proper documentation, because that deprives law-abiding American citizens of work. But that in and of itself, Chris, is not a solution unless there is both a border security element and a pathway to legal status.
I know, but the point that you finally got to is the one that progressives tend to skip, and I think that's the lack of comprehensiveness. Let me ask you about, are you a moderate or a progressive? Which word would you prefer if you had to have one?
Well, I try to shy away from labels, Chris, and focus on the issues. Let me give you a couple examples.
But, no, I understand why you shy away from it, but if you had to choose a label for yourself, which would it be? Give me a label.
Well, I'm pragmatic, and one of the things that would be refreshing about representing this district is that it is a pragmatic, moderate district, and I would be empowered to take courageous stands in the center on, for example, comprehensive immigration reform, where far too many members of Congress who are afraid of primary challenges lack the grit and the guts to do something that's difficult politically. I will do something that's difficult politically and move to the center to try to get big things done, whether it's on immigration or infrastructure or tax reform.
Well, let's hope you get a chance to do it. Good luck in the campaign tomorrow. That's the big one tomorrow, Jon Ossoff, who may well win the whole baby tomorrow. Congratulations on the effort itself. Thank you. Up next, thousands across...
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.